Hey y'all, it's Ashley, your Southern Lesbian, and welcome back to the Not Scary podcast about handling these appointments emotionally. My God, I did dive into this a little bit at the end of the last episode. So let's just talk about that for a moment and whether or not you should tell people. So I'll just tell you my experience in it, okay? First of all, these appointments, these doctors, you got to think of the numbers of people that come through those cancer centers every day and how emotional the patients are. This is a huge thing in their lives, our lives, right? We are one of those people. I know that I threw all kinds of questions at my surgeon and my specialists and the what ifs and the yeah buts and the, maybe this, maybe that, and holistic. I mean, when something like this happens, you really do want to do all your research and know what all your options are. And I certainly did that. So it takes some time, and coming back to these folks, and they're just used to people doing this, right? They're used to knowing what they know, especially if it's a surgeon. They know that they need to get that out of your body, and they know how to do that, and they know how to treat you accordingly to that. Well, sometimes that's all you need to know, and sometimes it's not, I don't know how it's handled in the States, but here in the UK, it's really cool because once a week, the surgeons all meet together and they have a whole day where they just review all of the cases going through, and they jointly, collectively make decisions as to what's best for each patient, which I think is so cool. That is so cool. I mean, maybe they do that in the States. What do I know? I did feel like it wasn't just the one person that I was speaking to's brain. I felt like I had a lot of really sharp minds looking out for what was best for me, which was cool. Now, having said that, I don't want you to ever just blindly accept what anybody tells you for something like this. Like, this is why it's so important to do our own research and to fact check. At this stage, I didn't feel like I needed a second opinion. My surgeon told me at first, she goes, I'm going to recommend a mastectomy. And I was like, what? It's one little lump. And she's like, well, we don't know that yet, right? And we're going to get an MRI. And I'm telling you, if even one little other spot lights up on that MRI, I'm going to want you to get a mastectomy because the risk is just too great of it coming back. And of course, going systemic. You don't want it to go systemic. So that's what, with where I was sort of dealing with. So when this happens, you're sitting in this space for a little while, right? While you're going through all these tests. It may take weeks. It may take months. And it is a very, very challenging place to sit because every conversation that you have with somebody, you're thinking, should I tell them? Should I not tell them? Should I pretend like everything's okay right now? Should I not pretend that? I made the choice to tell a couple of very close people to me only. And I think a lot of people do that because I made the mistake of telling a couple people that were close to me, but just didn't need to be involved in my support. I want you to kind of look around and go, okay, who do I really need as my support system? You only need a couple. You don't need a ton. And I'll tell you, because once you start telling people, this is what I learned, then you're going to get those calls of, are you okay? How are you feeling? When's your, and people mean well, and that's great to feel loved and cared for. And I certainly do appreciate my friends and everybody that checked on me. But I'm saying, I think you only need like a handful of people that are very close to you that you also know are not going to fearmonger you. You need people who are going to be supportive and not tell you all the worst case scenario. You need people that are going to help maybe and help in the right way of looking for information or support you how you want to be supported. That's the bottom line. I just made the decision not to tell anybody, obviously, for 7 months. And now here I am. I'm starting to tell people. Because now it's over for me, thank God. Well, this, as far as I know, it's over, the worst of it. And I feel like there's information to share. But in the beginning, I didn't even know what was happening. I didn't know what information I could share or wanted to share. And I didn't want to hear all people's, everybody's, opinions on what could happen or what could go wrong, or their friend that had a breast lump went through this and this one went through this. No, you don't need all that. You don't need all that. You need the space to get quiet with yourself and really think about what you want in this situation and what you feel is right for you and what feels true to you. That's what I can say. Now, getting an MRI, I had done before for, shoulder problem or something years ago. So I was familiar with that and going into that machine. If you've never been inside an MRI machine before, it can be a little bit daunting, but not really. You just need to close your eyes and picture happy place. Picture being outside really is super helpful. So it's basically this big round tube that they roll you into. But, the problem is that it comes about this far over your head, so it feels a little claustrophobic when you're in it. You lay down on a bed and they just sort of push you into the tube, and it's safe. They'll inject you with a contrast dye in most cases in the area that they're trying to read. I don't know what that dye's got in it. I forget, y'all. I did the research, but I will tell you a couple things. So the MRI is a magnetic imaging machine. So it's reading that dye, and it wants to see things light up that they need to see in the reading. The thing about that dye that you need to know about is it is hard on your kidneys. So if you have to do that contrast dye for your MRI, please drink tons of water before and after. You need to flush those kidneys. Last thing you want in the middle of all this stuff is kidney issues. And I'm not saying that if you take the contrast dye and you forgot to drink your water that something bad's going to happen. That's not necessarily, but I will just tell you that I had blood work done consistently through this because I insisted on it, and my kidney levels went a little wackadoodle after that. And my doctors were like, what is going on here? It was the dye. Another important note, ask for blood work consistently. I like to see levels of things on myself constantly. I asked for my hormone levels, kidney levels, thyroid. I also have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is like a hypothyroidism. I just wanted levels on everything because these are all glands. They all work in conjunction with one another. Lord. So I feel like I'm jumping around a little bit here, y'all, but I mainly just wanted to talk to you about your mental health through this stage of it. And as you're approaching the biopsy, the MRI, things that maybe you've never dealt with in your life before, it starts getting a little overwhelming real fast. And as I mentioned in the end of the last episode, your mental health is just everything right now. So please prep playlists for yourself right now because you're going to want them when you're going to these appointments. You're going to want things that can be your happy place. Just start to prepare those things. Add comedies to your Netflix that you can come home and watch at night or something. If you're watching police dramas and things where people get killed or there are heavy storylines right now, you might not want that. You may find that your taste in what you're consuming externally is just going to change. And that's okay. That's a good thing. You need really lighthearted stuff right now. You may find other podcasts as well. Maybe you've heard of the podcast We Can Do Hard Things. Amanda Doyle, who is the sister on the podcast, went through breast cancer last year, so you can find those episodes and listen to those. I thought they're great. I just love those ladies. I love them so much. But yeah, between that and just planning fun things for yourself, I think right now is super important. And that's really all I had to say today, is just be aware of your mental health through this process constantly. Meditation is huge. If you find your thoughts spiraling downward, do you practice meditation? If you don't, now might be a great time to learn. There are tons of guided meditations online on YouTube. There are apps that can help you with that, like Calm or Slow Dive. And meditation, for those of y'all who don't know what meditation is, or if you think it sounds a little woo-woo, or you think it's against your religion, it's not, y'all. All it is training your mind to stop thinking and spinning. So meditation is literally just sitting in the absence of thought and trying to hold that space for as long as you can. And what it does for you is it teaches you in moments of stress to be able to control your thoughts a little bit differently rather than your thoughts controlling you. That's pretty huge when you're going through something like this. So if you don't have a meditation practice in place, I would say put it into place now. Sit for 10 minutes a day. You can start with 2 or 3 minutes a day and build up if you want to whatever feels right to you. But I found it to be hugely helpful. And also, you will find that when you're able to shut out all the noise and all the thoughts that are spinning constantly, you might get a little insight or two. It's really cool. And that's the really beautiful woo-woo part of meditation. Those little insights come in. They call them hits. And usually they're pretty divinely inspired, I find. And I love it when those things happen. So like I said, that's really all I wanted to talk to y'all about for now. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, y'all.